Hello, everybody. Welcome to the...
Yeah, it's the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. You can tell because there's a lawnmower driving right over there.
There's another one coming that way.
Oh, perfect. That's a truck with an enormous fan on it. We're just inventing noise sources at this point. Go ahead, Tony. Tell them who you are.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. As you know, I am Tony Gerdeman. As you know, this is the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. And as you know, I'm here, as always, with Tom Orr. Tom! How's it mowing?
I got nothing on that one. I had something all lined up, and you have defeated me. So I'm just gonna go ahead. Talk about
Dynamite
football.
dropping.
Talk about football.
We recently talked about the Ohio State depth chart on the offensive side of the ball. Moving to the defensive side of the ball, some would argue the more important side of the ball, Matt Patricia perhaps. But wanted to discuss the depth chart that we're seeing there and what we've seen in camp, what we've heard, what people are saying, and trying to piece this all together. And I want to start at defensive tackle, Tom, outside in, because one of the things that Matt Patricia said on Thursday is that he expects to go by committee early in the season. And if something happens, then it happens. But when he says by committee, the four that we're talking about is Eddrick Houston and James Smith, presumably at the 3-tech, Will Smith Jr., John Walker, presumably at nose tackle. All four of those guys, I think, playing similar numbers of snaps. Eddrick Houston maybe playing more. And we'll see how much nose tackle James Smith plays. Jason Moore also perhaps in that group of five. I think the question that I have, one, how much nose is James Smith playing, or can he and Eddrick Houston play together? And then two, is there a freshman that can sneak into this top 5 or 6 group?
Yeah, I think those are both good questions. I'm with you. I think Eddrick Houston plays the most snaps of anyone here. I think James Smith might be second, which seems counterintuitive since they are presumably playing the same position. But I do think you're going to see those two guys playing next to each other, at least situationally this year. But I also expect all four of those guys to play at least 20 snaps a game, at least, and probably a little bit more than that. It feels like that's a unit where they feel pretty good about their top 4. Everything beyond there, whatever you get out of them, feels a little bit like a bonus. But yeah, whether it's Jason Moore, whether it's Jameer Perez is a name that I think has sort of worked its way into this conversation a little bit, where I'm talking like 5 snaps in a meaningful game in mid-October, kind of working its way into the conversation. But there are some of those younger guys. All the 2025 recruits at the defensive tackle position, they're all gone. So if you're looking at other guys there, it is which of the true freshmen would work his way in there. I think Jameer Perez is as good a guess as any, just because he might be able to do some stuff that other guys can't do.
And I keep wondering if when they're in this 5-man front and they have 2 3-techs out there at the same time, 2 3-techs and a nose tackle, whether it will actually be 2 actual 3-techs instead of like Kenyatta Jackson would be one of those guys last year. So they do have the option of doing that with maybe Eddrick can do that role kind of as the former defensive end. Speaking of then the defensive ends, presumably Kenyatta Jackson and Beau Atkinson as your ones. Would you agree with that assessment?
That's where I am right now, and I am pleasantly surprised that Beau Atkinson is in that spot, because I think coming out of last year, you sort of were thinking, okay, Zion Grady has done what you would expect him to do as a true freshman if he was going to win a starting job as a sophomore. And I don't feel like Beau Atkinson has taken that other starting spot by default. It feels like he's really gone out there and won it. He's looked a lot better this year than he did last year. A lot.
Well, and we saw Zion Grady kind of pass him last year as a true freshman as the season went on. And usually when an older guy gets passed by a younger guy, they stay passed.
Yes.
And this was not the case as Beau Atkinson reasserted, and not just reasserted, but got acclimated to being an Ohio State Buckeye and what it requires. And of course, it suits him, it would seem now. And we'll see what it looks like on the field. I know people hear us talking about him and like, yeah, I already saw him. I saw him play last year. He was not impressive.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear what you have to say. Interestingly, we've talked about Qua Russaw. Qua Russaw on Thursday kind of said that he's a third down pass rusher type of thing, can play, as he said, the outside linebacker, the Okie package. The Okie package, which, 5-man front, he's going to be that outside guy, presumably. But those are some of the different things that he can do, which makes it seem like he's as different than Kenyatta Jackson and Beau Atkinson. He's got his own thing. He's that guy, whether that's the Arvell Reese on the end kind of guy, that's his thing. And then as when they have 4 down on a pass rush situation, he's going to be getting after the passer. Zion Grady and Epi Satanale, to me, are the next 2 guys. And if Qua Russaw is his own thing, like Legend Bay is his own thing,
Yeah.
then the backups to Kenyatta Jackson and Beau Atkinson for me are Zion Grady and Epi Satanale. I don't know who's the backup to whom, but those are your next guys in, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's your top 4, and I do kind of take Qua Russaw and put him in the old Percy Harvin position.
Yeah.
It's like, that's now the Legend Bay position, and on defense it's the Qua Russaw position, because he's not with the linebackers. Like, he was an outside linebacker at Alabama, and that was what he was coming out of high school. He's not a linebacker. He's always been with Larry Johnson since day one that he got to Ohio State. But he's like the exception to every rule with Larry Johnson, where I've said this before, but when they're doing get-off drills, every single guy is in a 3-point stance except for Qua Russaw, who's standing up. So it's like the one guy where it's the exception to every rule in that defensive end room. So he's a little bit of an in-between kind of guy, but I think he's going to be very much a third down guy, obvious passing situation guy, get after the quarterback, where, again, I continue to be very, very high in him. I think you may see some shockingly good sack and TFL to snaps ratio kind of numbers from him this year. It might only be 5 sacks, 6 sacks, something like that. But if you're playing 15 snaps a game and you're getting a sack every other game, that will play.
So the whole, why don't they make the entire plane out of Qua Russaw type of thing.
And if you look at him, if you're next to him, he's not tiny. Like, I think they would. He's not as big as Kenyatta Jackson. Yeah. He's not as big as Beau Atkinson. But you look at him and it's like, I don't want to tell him I don't think he can set the edge. Do you want to tell him you don't think he can set the edge? I don't think that's a good idea.
Are you sure you can play football? But he said the same thing when, I think it was on his transfer portal visit to Ohio State, or maybe whatever it was, transfer portal or recruiting was it, but like seeing a bunch of 6'6" defensive ends, and he's like, well, that's not me, so I don't know that Ohio State is for me, but he has found it to his liking. He did say, I know this show's not about him, but he just said that one of the differences between Ohio State and Alabama is like the brotherhood is like real at Ohio State, and so yeah, he's his own thing. Linebackers, we're not talking Qua Russaw.
Yep.
We're talking, one of the things that Matt Patricia talked about on Thursday was the communication comes from the middle. And he said Payton Pierce and Christian Alliegro are great at it. Then said TJ Alford and Riley Pettyjohn are coming along. So to me, right away, boom, that tells you the starters. And that's Payton Pierce in the middle. That's Christian Alliegro at will. What does that look like when there's 3 linebackers? It's a competition between, at this point, maybe TJ Alford and Riley Pettyjohn, but don't forget about Garrett Stover somewhere. And he also threw in Eli Lee's name. But I think for me, the most interesting thing to see is if they go to 3 linebackers and you have Christian Alliegro presumably at Sam on the line of scrimmage, who is that will? Is it TJ Alford? Is it Riley Pettyjohn? And are they splitting that 50-50? Is that enough snaps for one guy? Is it is it matchup? Are they different in terms of players? Because I don't know how different they are. Is one guy better suited for this and another guy better suited for that?
Yeah, coming out of last year, Riley Pettyjohn felt like it was a little ahead of TJ Alford. Then Pettyjohn missed the spring, and it felt like Alford kind of caught back up. I am assuming if it's 2 linebackers, it's Payton Pierce and Christian Alliegro. Pretty clearly, those are the 2 guys to me. If it's 3, it's Alliegro at the Sam, it's Payton Pierce at the Mike, and then this is a little bit of a flip a coin thing.
Yeah, right now.
I'll say Riley Pettyjohn at the will, but I don't have particularly high confidence. It's to me very, very likely it's a little bit of a flip a coin, and they don't know for sure yet. I'll give you 52-48 that it's Riley Pettyjohn, but I'm not. This is not me saying.
Yeah.
This is the guy. No one else has a chance.
And basically, frankly, I haven't seen enough, but you've seen Riley Pettyjohn come on. But it's just like T.J. Alford had the entire spring to gain a bunch of ground or to make ground. Let's go from line. Well, who is the backup Sam, I guess, would be a good question, because I don't know that we know that either, because that's you're asking for somebody to be very stout.
Yeah.
And Riley Pettyjohn, we saw him doing some of that early on in fall camp. He's 6'2", and the other T.J. Alford 6'1", 6'2". So Sincere Johnson 6'3", but I don't know that there is. Maybe the backup Sam is actually Qua Russaw.
That's what I was just going to look up, was the difference in height and weight between Qua Russaw and Christian Alliegro, because Qua Russaw is listed at 6'2", 244, and Christian Alliegro is listed at 6'4", 245. So that's about as close as you can be in terms of height and weight between those two guys. So I wonder if you do have Qua Russaw just sort of handle some of those responsibilities, and you just maybe are asking him to do some different stuff there.
He played off ball and on ball at Alabama.
Right.
So he's done all of these things before, but you haven't asked him to do any of it necessarily this year. Mm-hmm. You certainly don't want him, because you'll see the Sam go out in coverage, and that's not what you're looking for. So at that point, you'd have to go with somebody that actually covers and has been covering in practice. So it'd probably be Pettyjohn, or I haven't seen T.J. Alford there much, but they want these guys to be able to do everything. Let's just go to nickel. Let's just, as the extension of the Sam situation, that I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to be the only person that says this.
You're not going to do something crazy like predict a freshman here, are you?
I'll go with Jay Timmons.
Wow.
We've seen him at one all camp with the nickel, and really, we've done enough show. We have not done enough shows on him. We've done shows on him, talking about if you are already repping with the ones as a true freshman in the first week in camp, then chances are you're going to be playing a lot. And the guys behind him, like right now, like Miles Lockhart has been with the 2s and the 3s behind him. Basically, it's been a cornerback type that has been playing nickel. We know Jermaine Matthews could do it if they wanted to, but right now I think the actual depth chart it's Jay Timmons, and then if something were to happen to him, presumably Jermaine Matthews?
Probably. I think that's probably the most likely next stop. It's possible that you put Terry Moore in at one of the deep safety spots and you move her a little up. That was something that we saw them do a bunch in the spring, so it's possible that that's the solution. But this is another thing where, the question to who is the backup nickel comes down to who do they want out there more, Dominic Kelly at outside corner or Terry Moore at deep safety. And, so there's a lot of different factors that go into this decision. But, the fact that Jay Timmons is, at this point, just a no-brainer starter at nickel a week into fall camp, when that was not at all the conversation coming out of the spring, is wild. Absolutely wild. And if you really want to get high on your own supply on the Jay Timmons hype, go to the Insiders board at BuckeyeInsiders.com. We had a thread, the title of which, I'm just going to find it for you, What I'm Hearing. Go ahead and find that on the Insiders board at BuckeyeInsiders.com if you really want to get excited about Jay Timmons.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Corners, Jermaine Matthews and Devin Sanchez have been running with the ones. Dominic Kelly also getting time with the ones. Could be a 3-man rotation if Dominic Kelly proves that he can handle that. The fourth corner, then Cam Calhoun. We've seen some Jordan Thomas. I think right now I would say Cam Calhoun and Dominic Kelly are the backups, but it's Kelly 3, Calhoun 4. Is that how you see it? Jordan Thomas in their 5?
Yeah, that's probably about the right order right now. And
Inky Jones
is out there. He's probably 6. And is he 5 and Jordan Thomas is 6? They were out there with the 3s. And this is a right now thing where I think Jordan Thomas is more likely to move up in that order as a freshman than someone who is in his 4th year of college, 5th year of college. You're more likely to see substantial growth and a little bit of helium in terms of where you are in the depth chart throughout the course of the season. But yeah, I think right now that's a pretty good look at where things probably stand at those outside corner positions.
And then safety, what we've seen all camp long, the first and second team really has not changed at all. It's been Earl Little with the ones at strong safety and Jaylen McClain at free safety with the ones. Behind them is Leroy Roker and Terry Moore flipping between boundary and field. And when I say boundary being the strong safety, field being the free safety, sometimes it's like you're trying to keep track of all of this. Generally, that field safety is also the deeper safety.
Yeah.
But I've also seen the boundary guy being deeper because the field guy is up towards the box. And basically everybody has to be able to play both spots. And Earl Little has done that at Florida State. Haven't seen him do a ton of being the deepest guy here because they like him in the box. And then was it, who said it recently for the Buckeyes? One of the Buckeyes said that you're going to be reminded of Caleb Downs when you watch Earl Little.
Who was that? Was it Jeremiah? I think it might have been Jeremiah.
Brandon Innes?
Oh, Brandon Innes. Might have been Brandon Innes, yeah. Yeah, Earl Little's another guy where we were hearing good things in the spring, and you continue to hear good things, and it's gotten to the point where people stop talking about the fact that he's good because it's just sort of a given that, yeah, this is someone who's going to be one of your new favorite players on this year's defense, I think. And so, yeah, I think this is a really good safety duo this year. They don't have a Caleb Downs. You almost never have a Caleb Downs, except for the 2 years where Ohio State has had a Caleb Downs, literally Caleb Downs. They have really not had a Caleb Downs. But for a defense where you don't have a Caleb Downs, this is a really good safety duo.
Yeah, I was like, where would it be? It's, I guess, slightly behind last year, because, and slightly behind the year before we had Lathan Ransom and Caleb Downs.
Yeah.
But still, not a bad group to be grouped with. Behind them, Blaine Bradford has been with the threes, and we've seen Caden Gephardt with the threes as well.
Yep.
Simeon Caldwell, twos and threes,
yep,
playing, and again, they're moving around strong safety to free safety. So there's your secondary. No issues at punter in terms of the number one is Joey McGuire, and they've got
Brady Young.
Yeah, and it's like that's settled.
Yes,
unless barring something, you're going to go with the Australian. And the only problem is when you have two, then it becomes an issue, as we know. But anything else from the depth chart that you wanted to touch on?
Unless you want to go through kick returner, punt returner, but I don't know. Do we have enough information to make an informed?
Punt returner, Brandon Innes, we've seen. He's back. We've seen. I'll just give you some of the names that we've seen back there, and Jeremiah Smith. Don't expect it to be him, but they'll throw him back there. Brock Boyd, Kyle Parker, Devin McEwen, like all of the receivers we've seen back there pretty much. But I have not seen any defensive guys. It's going to be Brandon Innes, and I know people are going to complain. He's been the most effective in terms of not just catching it, but return yards. He's got the best return yards of anybody since Jalen Marshall back in like 2015. Yeah,
he feels like KJ Hill, but he is a little bit more of a playmaker than that. I think that you are going to have people on staff advocating for a Turbo Rogers as a kick returner maybe, or a Legend Bay as a kick returner or punt returner. We'll see how that all sorts out. This is just one of these things where I don't know that they know right now what their plan is. I think that's going to just sort of be figured out over the course of the next few weeks. They've got a scrimmage on Saturday. They'll have a scrimmage the following Saturday. So they'll have some opportunities to do game-like situations where they'll really work that, and they'll see who can they trust to hang on to the football, and who can they trust, among that subset, then who does the most with the football in their hands.
Yeah, so there you go. There's the our look at the depth chart on the defensive side of the ball. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the thumbs up. Send some comments. What do you think? How do you see this depth chart shaking out, Tom? Say that. Depth chart shaking out.
Depth chart shaking out.
Not in front of the people. 5-star rating review on the audio side as well. And of course, if you want more of Tom correcting me, and I know you do, you can find plenty of that. And as Tom said, the stuff that some intel from inside the halls of the Woody at the BuckeyeInsiders.com message board. Find us there. It is the absolute number one best way to support what we do. So thank all of you who have. Look forward to seeing more of you do that as well. That will do it from here. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will talk to you all later.